Welcome along, or should I say, welcome back, one and all, to League of Europe Season 11, Round 4 at Monza. Yes, unfortunately, we did have some fairly substantial lobby issues with the last one, so we're getting it restarted, and also because my game crashed along with Jonathan's, and I imagine a lot of the D1 grid too. The stream went down, so we've had to bring it back up. Apart from that, everything's working as normal, so hopefully we should get this race going with no dramas this time around. Of course, we did have a bit of a lag issue. I'm a bit cautious here because I'm not sure if the formation lap is on or not. But regardless of that, Jonathan is still with me. We're still all good to get this race covered.
Yeah, looking good ahead, and of course we've already seen what tyres the drivers chose to use. Let's hope this is the
no formation lap.
No, okay, right, lights out and away we go straight into the race. Here is Russell's got a marvellous start on the inside, looking to go straight into the lead, of course, on those soft tyres. Actually, one or two drivers have changed what tyres they used since the first lobby. Russell on the inside does nudge Shadow wide through to the lead for him. Further back, you've got the two Alfa Romeos side by side, two here, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Oh!
Starting to settle in. I think there's been some contact further down as I've not turned on my mini-map and can't see all the action that is going on, but a chaotic start to the race. Russell doing pretty well for himself.
Yeah, it was absolute carnage, and the field, as it turns out, has completely fractured. You can see them all running side by side at the exit of Della Roggia then. Huge gap then, it's between Baggy and Sweet Crown. I saw carbon fibre end plates flying off further down the field, and that has caused a major split. There's another split further up the field as well. Lifeboat has lost contention with the top four. I imagine just trying to navigate these slightly slower Alfa Romeos further up the road, so massively chaotic. You can see them all squabbling all the way down there as they filter through, but this means Sweet Crown's trying to bridge across. Yassir has got Baki all over him, then you can see there's almost no gap between them, and Russell is trying to make a break for it up at the front as well. That gap is just creeping up to 1 second, and he's used the vast majority of his battery, so looking to make an early break. It's rare for Monza, but this field is completely fractured at the moment.
Yeah, already. I mean, it's happened so quickly. And of course, for those of you who were here for our first attempted race start, you would have seen we only had 6 drivers on the softs. I think Lifeboat and one other driver has used this cheeky opportunity to start on the soft instead of the mediums that they were initially going to start on. Insights into their competitors and choosing what to do there, but it does look like Russell is trying to pull away. He's burned through already more than 80% of his ERS. Driver behind burned just over 50%, but he has got that gap at 1.0 seconds. If he can keep that gap onto next lap, he's looking good at the moment. Shadow just seems so comfortable with the car. He's gaining pace despite not burning the ERS. The driver's behind not challenging him, so not needing to defend. It's the midfield where all the action's happening for the moment. Because next lap, lap 3, once the DRS kicks in, that's when that'll change. As Luke has pitted for a new front wing and hard tyres further down the order. This next lap where everything kicks off. Sweet Crown having a little look at the back of Fled. He nearly goes into the back of him there. Fleddy, a good strong line there, able to pull away for the moment. Both drivers on mediums, not too much pressure on either of them just yet.
Not for the moment, but you're seeing the difference in initial grip at the moment then, because that's where the splits are occurring. Slash is holding up a train, and the top 4 have gone well up the roads here and pulling away, and Lifeboat will know that in the Williams, and he's going to try and get on with it then, burning that battery, going to the inside, getting the move done, heading in to Del Rey Tafilio at turn 1, does get that 5th place and is going to have to motor because that gap is already stretched out to a full 2 seconds. Down at turn 2, we've got a lot of argy-bargy down there as Mustache gets tangled up with Rocco and Nuth, who's the other driver I believe that switched in the slipstream with a lot of battery, but unable to really use that to mount an offensive. So everyone forming a line in. This one behind Fleddy, who's lost contact with the second group on the road, oversteering that Ferrari out of Della Roggia, trying to make up for it, but 2 gaps of 2 seconds. And of course Luke, having got damage, pitting going hard tyre, and will pit one more time. Of course 2 mandatory pit stops here in LOE Division 1, but these splits have turned the race. Instead of just 1 line at Monza, which you usually see, now we've got 3 at various points up and down the field.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice change almost for Monza. You get different battles and different places, more opportunities for overtaking, and Russell did not succeed at pulling away. Shadow remained right on his tail, the 2 drivers with identical quali laps. Well, he was not able to run away despite burning more ERS. It is that top 4 battling Lifebout leading this group, but of course, even with the soft tyres, he can't pull away. So all he's going to do now is just watch his tyres suffer more and more. As oh my goodness, they're looking to go 3 wide here. Did not see Campbell out of nowhere. P7 to P5 there, and he's made that work. Lifeboat actually losing 2 positions in that one there.
Yeah, better blow, and Campbell scything between the Alfa Romeo and the Williams, moving up to 5th place, and I don't think he got the best quality lap out of himself, so he's going to look to try and go and chase after that leading group. So how these guys are going to play this is going to be interesting then, as Fleddy and Sweet Crown go battling. Fleddy just about able to hold off Sweet Crown, who I think may have got past on the main straight, so they duel back and forth, but the dynamics in the groups are going to be interesting, because I imagine, especially for Campbell here in P5, the objective is just to close that gap to the leaders. So how they're going to do that, is everyone going to ride his coattails? Are they going to relay, or are they going to battle? You suggest the battle would be rather counterproductive, but Sweet Crown and Fleddy are going back and forth. 3 position changes on this lap, and Sweet Crown now has P10 on the mediums, the same as Fleddy and the same as Yassir, who's dropped back on the mediums, just hanging on to that train in front, trying to run up to them, but that gap is already 2.5 seconds, and he's going to have to burn that 80% of battery that he already has. Russell leads, end of lap 4, and you can see them all queuing up behind then. Of course, now things, they may look heated, but right now everyone is just exchanging light jabs at the moment then. It is all setting tight and waiting for action. Lifeboat maybe not so much. He looks inside to turn 1, but ultimately can't find the way through. Fleddy now under pressure, looking for Mustache, who's made one move. Can he go for another one? He locks up! He locks up and runs into Sweet Crown, coming out through turn number 1. Not sure if he's managed to avoid damage or not. He got it all wrong on the inside of turn number 1, and ultimately that caused that incident then. He looks to try and carry on, closing down the Mercedes in front of him, unable to make use of it then. Fleddy looks to the inside, can't make anything of it, as Rocco and Hazara are side by side through De La Roggia, and the Mercedes gets sideways, drifts near the exit, and manages to get back in front. It's furious battling down the back here, and it's very exciting to watch. A little bit rough and ready out there on track, but the gap to the top 9 is growing exponentially. Sweet Crown now 3.5 seconds shy of the second group on the road.
Yeah, at the moment, the second group actually is showing to be the fastest. At one point, the gap between Campbell and Verstappen was up to 2.1 seconds. Campbell's brought that down to just 1.6. And at the moment, he is just gradually gaining and gaining and gaining. Of course, he's going to drop out a little bit in each of these DRS zones, but at the moment, it is looking like he's going to be able to close onto the back of these front 4 drivers, with themselves who've not really seen any battling from. It has just been Russell's leading, Shadow's been happily sitting behind, saving his ERS. He's got quite a bit more. Slash getting past Campbell, and that isn't particularly good for the group. Of course, ooh, contact there from the inside. Lifebelt tapping Campbell and actually dropping down a couple of positions, down to P9. He drops. He's trying to challenge for P6. Slash's mistake may cost this second group a little bit. Still 3.5 seconds down to the group behind. It almost feels like watching cycling. We've got the different groups. Regions, you want the peloton to catch up with the lead runners. Here at the moment, it looks like they're in for a good shot, but down here for P10, side by side, Moustache and Sweet Crown. And Sweet Crown getting it through. Moustache forced over the curve there. Can Fleddy do anything here through this right-hander? He's got the outside line, and yeah, able to sweep around the outside. Chris having to slot in behind. But all this battling, that gap's come up even more between Sweet Crown and Lifebout.
And oh my goodness, I think I saw Rocco coming out of Lesmo too, just running wide and dropping to the back of this train then. Moustache and Fleddy going at it. It is absolute chaos. Slash went through on Campbell and has actually put in a searing lap. This may suggest that the tyres are starting to overlap and the mediums are coming into the road while the softs begin to fade. Does that mean pit stops for the race leaders? The answer to that appears to still be no. Russell thought about going pit lane, didn't do it, and it looks like Shadowglow is finally looking at this race lead. Goes wheel to wheel down the straight and through. He leads the Italian Grand Prix now. The 2 McLarens still watching and waiting in behind as Slash tries to gain, but as he's running with no DRS to his benefit, he loses time all the way down that main straight. Not much he can do about that. Campbell at the moment with a lot more battery is just having to sit there and wait as there's more contact down there at the first corner. This time it's Hazara who's had tumultuous races already this season, and this one's gone off on the wrong foot too, spinning out of the Rettifilio and coming to a dead stop on the track in second gear. Is he going to get going again?
You wonder if that's a wheel malfunction or something. The driver not had much luck so far this season. P17 in the standings. This is P17 at the moment. I saw something going wrong there and has now restarted movement. That is a very, very odd one. Giving Luke a chance to catch back up. We will see what happens with that driver. I don't know if they've mentioned anything in the paddock chat, but it's the battle still going on for P9 Moustache on the back of Sweet Crown, soon to be DRS. Down towards the this isn't the DRS straight, what am I on about? Going towards the braking zone for Parabolica, choosing to not go for the move, actually lifting a little bit there. Slotting in behind as three of our front runners come into the pit. Verstappen choosing not to. Moustache running slightly wide, Fleddy able to get up the inside. Now giving Fleddy the chance to challenge for that P9. That's going to change though to P6 because of this. Moustache dropping 2 positions there because of that mistake. They're 2 by 2. The Ferrari looking to take the lead, and it's our championship leader. It's Fleddy who gets to the front of this group now, but that's 5 seconds down on life valve.
Doesn't seem like these guys are really interested in the bigger picture. They are just battling it out back and forth, and it's allowing the rest of the field to move away. By the way, my reaction when the front runners pitted was because Shadowglow decided to fake staying out and took a very aggressive cut in to the pit lane. They all emerge 1, 2, 3. Shadowglow, Russell, Gary. Nothing changes as Zara pulls into the pit lane to retire, which is of course not what you want to see, but ultimately frustration telling then after, well, stopping on track for at least 15 seconds earlier on. So these three now, the net race leaders, have come in. Verstappen has chose to stay out, interestingly enough, and this means that for him and as well for the other leaders, it's a very, very critical lap then. With the softs going off, there's a very real chance of getting distance if he hasn't put any mega in lap here.
Yeah, remains to be seen. He is choosing to come into the pits. I'd expect to see medium tyres on his car as well. The 2-stop does not want to be undercut as this group will start on the mediums all staying out. Actually, no, a lot of the drivers pitting, even those on mediums pitting. Fleddy's staying out, as is Slash. But this really splitting up the pack slightly. The strategy, many levels above what I can comprehend. This is 4D chess, and I'm still playing checkers here. Let's look at this battle for P2 now. Sweet Crown behind, we've got someone on the grass. Moustache is off onto the grass. Does come back onto the track in the end, but look at that, 3 cars all completely nose to tail there. AlphaTauri, Aston Martin and Mercedes. Can Chris get a move down into this braking zone? I think too far back, no benefit of DRS down this straight. Coming towards the Delarose chicane. Yeah, Rocco running a bit deep there. Tiny moment, but it's enough to fall off the back. It's enough for Frank to get onto the back of that Mercedes.
Still sitting almost nose to tail, but a long way in front now. Slash has got 6.5 seconds on this group, and that is only growing. Fleddy seems to have lost contact a little bit with Sweet Crown, who's got pretty much a full battery to try and deploy. I don't imagine it's going to be difficult to establish more of a gap than he has already on the group behind, but it can at least run fast lap times further up the road. Moustache has gone wide again. He rear locked it into turn 1 and he's made another mistake out of Ascari. He loses out to Chris. Rocco not quite near enough, has to tuck in. Of course, the pit stop earlier came from Yassir out of this group, or actually further up the road from the mediums, I should say. He's now back there running up behind Backy's group as Slash pits from P2, or from P1 actually I should say, is going to put on a set of the medium tyres and get back out on track. Meanwhile, looking to the net race leading as Shadowglow is going to cruise past Russell on the straight without even using any battery. These guys really, they're not even pushing all out, they're just ticking along at the moment as it stands right now. Swapping the lead just meant it's convenient to rather than when they really want to, but they are still pulled away. Backy now leads the group behind as these guys have made undercuts and jumped up ahead of Yassir, Campbell, Lifebout and Slash, who stayed out a little bit longer. Slash of course was at the front of this group, now he runs at the back, and the gap to the net leading group has grown even further. Even though it must say these guys are really just ticking along, as I said, because Shadowglow and Russell still have almost full batteries, especially Russell, and they're not really battling yet, just sizing each other up at the moment.
Yeah, Verstappen, importantly, we haven't mentioned yet, he was able to get back onto these guys despite pitting a lap later. The undercut was not enough to cut him from the DRS train. It's Moustache picking up 3 seconds for track limits, and he seems to be really struggling to keep it on the track at the moment. We've seen a lot of mistakes from that AlphaTauri driver tonight. Frank on the back of Rocco. I think we might see some of this lead group pull into the pits. There's an Aston Martin, there's a Mercedes, it's Chris, and it is Rocco. Rest of them staying out on track, and all this time now 6 seconds between Shadow and Frank. This group, this provisional net lead group, blanking on me again. Net lead group is closing down on these guys, and all of a sudden that is going to cause chaos if they don't pit beforehand. We should have a group on fresh tyres, some of our fastest drivers here, all moving together in formation, being upset by some cars who are a pit stop behind. It does seem to be about 2 seconds a lap almost. It's a very significant margin. Russell on the back of Shadow, unlikely to go for the move though. These guys just happy to chill. They know they have to play the long game. Those top points are worth it, but they're not worth fighting so hard. It's only 18 points for P4, 30 points for the win. That's not a whole lot of difference. You want that consistency, as you mentioned, for right in the qualifying. It's consistency that will get you the title, not fighting tooth and nail for every single win. You save that for the finale. Here we go. Is that, yeah, no, Russell is not going to be going for the move. Further down then we have had Slash get past Nuth down towards Ascari. Go on the curve though. Is that enough to unsettle the car? No, the Alfa Romeo does stay ahead despite that mistake. It's not enough to cause too much of an issue.
And still runs in that P13 at the rear of this group, which is being led along by Yasir Saki, but I suspect Lifeboat is going to have something to say about that. We'll see if he does decide to go for the move down the main straight. He may just be able to cruise past without using any overtakes, such as the power of the slipstream and the DRS, and he cruises through to P number 9 then. Both these guys running the softs have good explosive pace, of course, in these early laps then before they start to go off. Campbell has worked his way through this field, now runs third in line, but they are still 4 seconds off the leading quartet, which is ultimately now beginning to dominate this race. The leading guys that haven't pitted then, the other leading quartet I should say, on 11 lap old tyres, 11.5 lap old tyres, still running, and we're getting close to half distance, so this is an awfully long way to go to start off with, but I suspect they're going to take advantage of the lobby restart and are just going to run soft to the end, so they should have blistering pace later on.
Another mistake from Moustache up, and P2 going wide again at the exit to Ascari. I mean, he's fast at the moment, but that driver cannot seem to keep his car under control. I'd expect that's a fourth warning to add onto the 3. We know he's already got because of that penalty. And it looks like right up to the line. He is a driver who is absolutely pushing, perhaps pushing harder than he should be. Not close enough to go for the move. Frank is into the pits. Okay, that puts pressure on the rest of that group to pit next lap around. Russell on the back of Shadow. I think he will go for the swap around here. He's fast enough on the exit. And there we go, the net lead switching over to Russell. Two drivers, essentially. It just looked like an agreed swap. I mean, this group, they really are a team of 4 drivers at the moment, and nothing seems to be able to stop them whatsoever. It feels weird. Normally F1, you're battling away, but these guys are so incredibly strategic, playing the long game beautifully well. It almost feels like we've got teams of drivers as opposed to just the drivers fighting against each other. It doesn't feel like teams of 2, it feels like we've got that team of 4, we've got the other group of 4 behind, or 3 drivers actually, should I say. Lifebout, Campbell and Saki, 8, 9 and 10. Slash is falling off the back of those guys. But himself actually is closing down, and he might be about to bring another few drivers into that group. They were one big group earlier, he has closed on to the back, not in time to pick up the DRS down towards Ascari, but in time to close that gap down to less than a second, or it opens up to more than a second though, as the DRS applies to Campbell's car up ahead. He needs a good straight here, he needed a good exit then, it's not enough, he's still not getting the DRS from the driver ahead, he's out of ERS completely, that's going to affect him heavily. Meanwhile Campbell's happily sitting on 75%, Slash is still not able to do anything, flooding into the pits. There's now the gap between Russell and Moustache further up, it's only 2.6 seconds, that is going to get interesting real fast.
They are 3 abreast down the main straight as Campbell makes another double move, going down the right hand side and taking Lifeboat and Yasir. He goes to the front of this group now, and my oh my, well, that was quite a sight then. 3 cars parallel down the main straight at Monza, and Campbell now, you suspect that the soft of Lifebout and Yasir Saki have started to deteriorate, so he's taking the opportunity to get to the front of this grid, this group I should say, and pile in the lap times then, pump them in, and he's just over 4 seconds shy of the lead quartet, but ultimately it seems unlikely, barring of course any safety cars, full safety cars they would have to be, that those fortunes are going to change, because, well, these guys, they all seem to be running fairly well in formation. Interestingly, Russell has burned off a lot of his battery. Gary is struggling a little bit as well. He's low on battery as well, and I think this is because Russell, he's burned off his entire battery, and he's actually attempting to make a breakaway here, try and get that gap over a second. He's got the two leaders up in front. Are they going to pit? Are either of them going to pit? The answer to that is no. He's worked to get close to the RS range. He hasn't quite broken Shadowglow, who hasn't had to use quite as much. Gary is struggling. He's just stepping out at that 1 second, but that was all caused by Russell making that effort. But now he's got two slower cars in front of him, battling away. His mustache moves in front of Sweet Crown. And, well, he's made that big effort to get away, but is he going to be able to make most of it now with the top two right in front of him?
Well, they have managed to drop Gary. Gary is now 1.2 seconds behind of Verstappen. That brings the lead quartet down to the lead triplet, but also now Russell's going to have the DRS from ahead. Those two slow cars, well, they're not just a pain, they will come in handy here, because they're going to give him DRS down towards Ascari. Russell doesn't really have enough ERS to burn to try and bring that gap up to over a second. That really starting to put pressure on the rest of this group, who's decided, well, halfway through the race, I'll be nice to them, we've worked together, now it's time to try and crack them. They're the rivals, they're the ones I want to pull away from. There is a lead change, but what's more important is the net lead as Russell closes down on these guys. Less than half a second, actually running a little bit deep into Ascari there. The Shadow is nearly dropped back. In fact, Shadow is over.
Ooh.
More than a second. He's not burning the RS either. Oh, hang on, Verstappen's gone flying past.
I think he's made a mistake coming out of Ascari. I think that's what's happened there, and that because he looked very comfortable staying within without using that battery. But now Verstappen has had to pick up the slack, and he's just about there with them. The lead to both box. So now it is a battle of all-out pace between Russell and Verstappen. And does Shadowglow make a move down the straight? He's going to move, and Verstappen's surely going to have to just give this one up. They cannot afford to battle because this is a crucial stage in the race, and Shadowglow's run wide, heading through turn one. Was it a needless move? Well, he didn't get it quite stopped then. Verstappen blips the overtake button, decides against it. They have completely distanced Gary at this point, but the lead quartet that we've been bringing up lap after lap in the mid-phase of this race has well and truly been fractured. Russell, he's drained his entire battery. It's cost a lot to establish this gap, but he has ultimately got out that DRS range, and now Shadowglow and Verstappen have got a grave responsibility themselves to bring the race leader back in. This really is like a bike race at the moment, but these guys, they're going to have to swap, they're going to have to exchange when they're going to burn that battery and work their way back in, because Russell, we know how fast he is. Of course, he and Shadowglow did set identical times in qualifying. Verstappen has looked very comfortable in terms of pace, but ultimately he's had the frustration of missing out. That gap 1.2 seconds. Are we going to see pit stops? A thrilling fight here, but Russell, he is leading, but he is handicapped because he's completely out of battery.
Yeah, and also actually I think Shadow, for me, he does seem to be the driver with the most raw pace. You can see him closing down without burning too much ERS. He almost doesn't seem to be worried about closing that gap down, which seems a little bit odd, but it is gradually reeling it in. He's pulling Verstappen with him. It's actually Gary is gone. He's chosen to pit, and I think that's very smart from him. He knows he needs to make the move early if he wants to get back onto that lead group. Shadow needing to nail that braking zone. Well, I think he absolutely has it if he can get the traction right, burn a bit of ERS to keep that gap down to less than a second. And you know what? I think he's managed to reel him back in. He needs a good Delaroche, he needs to get good through the two Lesmos. Perhaps it seems he has been able to close that gap back down. Verstappen not challenging at all. He knows that's not what he needs to do. The gap between him and Campbell behind 5 seconds. This lead group doing well, but they need the good in-lap as well. Gary's gone for the mediums. Without question, he's going to the end of those tyres. Actually, perhaps amongst other drivers, as Moustache down in P13, he's on softs that might be going to the end. Now he's got his penalty to deal with. But here we go, Shadow now with DRS in P2, and all of a sudden Russell's work has not even worked for him.
Yeah, well, it may have looked fairly undramatic to the untrained eye, but that was a very, very critical moment in this race. Russell's attempted gamble to try and move away, and it hasn't come off because now he's got the other two right up behind him. They have pulled away. Campbell has not quite been able to match that pace on his own. Lifeboat hassling him on the soft tyres, just hasn't been able to get himself into contention, and Russell does come in, but Shadowglow and Verstappen remain out, and Verstappen I think is going to make a move for the lead. They're burning off that battery, looking to make it down the straight, and Shadowglow is just going to let that one go. So they swap down the main straight. Nuth picks up a time penalty down in 16th place, just running adrift of the second group, on what will be the second group on the road when all the pit stops have been sorted out with. But Russell coming in early, he goes to the mediums just like Gary. I wonder if it could be softs for Verstappen and Shadowglow. Maybe that's why they're staying out longer. We see Gary, if that undercut gambit has tried to work out. At the moment, he is still a long way back from Russell, who needs to nail a great outlap here, but we're going to have to keep an eye on the other two then. Are they going to extend for softs? Are they going to pit this lap for softs? How are they going to respond to Russell's boxing from the lead?
Yeah, currently down in P10 and 11, but with clean air importantly, and also importantly, Russell has a 2.5 second advantage over Gary. Such was his in-lap and pace he had, and with even more ERS, so Gary no longer seemed to be in contention for the win. I don't know if that was fighting through traffic or just taking a while to get used to the cars, but Russell seems to be doing well here. His fastest lap from Luke. Where is he? He is in... where is he? Oh, down in P17. I was looking for his name, right down at the back of the order. Don't think he's been lapped just yet, but not too far off it. Although he will be going to the end on his current tyres as Verstappen is into the pit. Shadow is not, importantly. Let's see what tyres Verstappen chooses to put on. I think there's some action down in P5 if you want to watch that, but I'll see he's putting on the medium tyres. Campbell also comes into the pits. Some of this group on softs is coming into the pits. Here we go, Fleddy looking for the move on Frank down towards T1 for P3. And he's got him on the inside, and that looks fairly clean cut and done. Just another breaking point. That is Fleddy up into third position. As Backy now also taking the fastest lap. It's later stage in the race, the lighter cars with the less fuel load. Keep seeing that change hands. Is anyone with a points finish who can get the fastest lap point? I cannot remember what the rule was. Yes, anyone with a point finish can get the fastest lap point.
And that would be for the top 15. Oh my goodness, side by side through De La Rogia, Sweet Crown and Frank going at it. In this group we just saw Fleddy taking P3, and now Sweet Crown and Frank going at it for 4th and 5th. Moustache is trying to get back on. He was destined to the pit stop phases, stayed out a little bit longer, so he's going to have to work his way back into the train, which he may just about have managed to do. Verstappen made his stop. He's come out just in front of Gary and critically just over 2 seconds away from Russell. Has that undercut worked for Russell? Shadowglow does indeed come to the pit lane. So let's see what the tyre choice is going to be. Is the medium the best decision for the length of stint? For the softs can go to the end. The question is, are they faster? Well, Shadowglow does seem to think so. He puts on the Red Wall soft tyres, and he's going to mount a charge surely in the next few laps. But how much is staying out longer cost him initially? Russell is past. The McLarens are going to follow suit then. Is he going to be in the DRS range? He's burning that battery. He's not going to be in the DRS range initially, as Gary is just getting dragged along by his teammate now. Coming in early did seem to work for him, at least to this point. So Shadowglow does re-emerge. P9 just 3.5 seconds ahead of Backy, so you can see these guys generally staying out longer. As Luke has gone off, that's heading off of Ascari, and a full safety car deployed, full safety car, lap 20, and we have, well, the top 5 haven't done their second mandatory stop. They are free to come in. Slash is way out in front in this race as it stands, having stayed out longer, so let's see how this is going to unfold then.
Slash he's looking very strong, isn't he? Because I mean, he's got a free pit stop. He knows there's only going to be about 5 laps left on the softs. Actually, the soft runners now at Shadow all of a sudden looking quite good on those soft tyres. They're going to last a bit longer. They'll be in their prime for longer. And he doesn't have to worry about catching up to Russell as well. There was the problem of trying to get past that wall, 2 McLarens working together. Now everyone's closing up. This might be very good for the runners who've just put softs on, and certainly throw a spanner in the works of some other drivers' plan.
You say it's good for Shadowglow, and it may be versus Russell, Verstappen and Gary, but if he'd stayed out one last lap longer, he would have gotten an even bigger benefit, and the race win would have probably been in his hands at that point. In any case, Slash does come in. He will come out, I believe, probably just behind the top 5. Of course, the speed is reduced, but not entirely. Actually, they do seem to be able to go very fast down this straight, almost at full racing speed. So actually, the gain may not be quite as much, but of course there is the advantage of the field being bunched up. Slash is going to come out just behind his teammate. Yasuo Saki goes through into P6, so Slash emerges P7. Everyone else, predictably, further down the field without the track position to lose, does come in. It's fresh, soft tyres going on, and it does benefit the soft runners because, of course, we are getting these laps under the safety car where very little damage and wear is being put onto the tyres. So the men at the front, they may have the track possession, but they're also the most vulnerable.
Yeah, those front 3 drivers, especially Gary, has got 1 lap extra on those, and of course the mediums don't fall off as quickly, but against fresh softs, against a sea of fresh softs, there is only so much you can do. And I'm really not sure which driver this is going to go towards. I thought Shadow had it before, and then he pitted for the softs and came out behind 2 McLarens, and I thought it all fell away from him, but actually now might all be coming back to him. At the moment it seems to be a game between Russell and Verstappen, those 2 drivers who showed they were the fastest in qualifying. They seem to be certainly my 2 favourites. I don't know if you think otherwise, and I'm missing something big here.
Well, I'm not exactly sure, but one interesting point is, of course, Slash's just coming out behind Lifebout and Yasuo Saki was massively costly for him, because now he's got those slower, presumably slower drivers on older mediums to navigate before he can really challenge the top 4. So that is a bit of a setback. Sweet Crown Fleddy, I mean, pretty much everyone has been brought back into contention. That is the nature of the safety car, and of course it is something that can flare up very often in league racing. And Ascari catching another driver out. Hazaro, of course, we saw that retirement in the pit lane. Luke is gonna, well, I was just thinking his teammate Chris has actually decided to come in because he had a couple of laps on those softs. But it makes me wonder, he is getting a few laps of advantage, but he's also giving up about 5 places here, so I wonder if this is going to pay off.
Yeah, interesting decision there, but also that does raise the question of, will the safety car come in at the end of lap 22 or the end of lap 23? Because that very much affects how long the race is going to be on, how long the softs are going to be in their prime. At the moment, if it's 22 laps done, then at least 5 laps are green if the safety car comes in at the end of this lap, which is what I suspect will happen. Chris should have plenty of time to pull onto the back. And also it benefits Chris that should get onto the back as soon as possible.
Absolutely, yeah.
More time to work through the field. Sometimes you might want to tactically wait, okay, I'll wait another lap, my tyres are old or whatever, I'll be a bit slow catching up the queue. But no, he wants to get up as soon as he can, which is not beneficial for Shadow. Shadow just wants this soft spin in their prime as much as possible to burn through them as quickly as he can. And this means we will have 5 laps of chaotic green flag racing where we're all bunched up again. 3 laps with the DRS, the 2 laps beforehand for all the drivers to, well, let's be realistic here, not every front wing is going to make it through those 2 laps in one piece.
I'm just taking a close look at Russell's fuel light, and yes, we are getting back to racing at the end of this lap. It did just flash, it is flashing yellow ever so often, so I think he did underfuel, I did notice that. I think Gary did as well, among other drivers, but it does mean he is still fairly close, and you just want to be keeping half an eye on that. So he's going to watch out. In any case, he is controlling the front of this race now, cruising along at around about 80 kilometers an hour, about 50 miles an hour. Has not planted the throttle just yet, and of course you want to alleviate the slipstream as much as possible, especially at a circuit like Monza. But even after the finish line, even after the pit lane entry, there is still a lot of straight heading up towards De Rettifilo. So that does provide a bit of an obstacle for the race leader, so we'll see how he will handle it. Has Verstappen tucked in underneath his rear wing, the Alpine weaving from side to side, waiting to unleash 1,000 horsepower onto this Monza circuit and try and get a jump. Is he going to make another attempt to distance himself from the rest of the field? It worked at Zandvoort, that's how he got that race win. He's running this one right up to the line. Verstappen is almost half-wheeling him, now they get going once again, and Verstappen has reacted started well, and it's a poor start from Gary because Shadowglow is already up and alongside and Lifeboat on the offensive too. So here we go, down the main straight. Lifeboat looking for him, he's found it. Up on the inside, but can't quite pull through, and Shadowglow's got one immediately as Gary loses out on the restart. He's wheel to wheel with Lifeboat. Better wheel to wheel contact between them then. Sweet Crowd tries to dart through the middle, again up along the outside of the Williams. They bang wheels heading through Carver Grande side by side. Gary just in front of them, trying to hold them all back on the aging, ailing medium tyres. He does hold fourth, but Shadowglow critically did get him on the restart to go third. The two Alfa Romeos are wheel to wheel, and on the gravel is Slash losing out. Fleddy, the championship leader, up on the inside, wheel to wheel again, heading through Lesmo 1. Lesmo 2's up next then with Slash just half a car length ahead, and does snatch up that 8th place at the moment, and again is looking to rally at his teammate. There's no team orders here. They are going at it, hammer and tongs, and maybe too hard at this stage there. He looks inside, dives late on the brakes, and round goes Slash! Round goes Slash, spearing backwards at Ascari. Tries to recover it in the Alfa Romeo, but that one was just too ambitious ultimately, and a heated battle between the Alfa Romeos ends in tragedy for M Slash, who spears right to the back of the field and out of contention.
Yeah, now Sweet ran right onto the back of Gary, and of course no DRS yet to protect Gary. As here we go on the outside on the fresher softs. This looks fairly clean cut here. We'll have the grip to outbrake him, and Gary's just going to start falling down to the field now. He does have two guys on medium tyres behind him, but Sweet Crown up into P4, and perhaps he'll be challenging for this podium positions now. We're expecting Shadow to make moves, but at the moment he hasn't just yet. Russell does have the most active, just 2/10 though back to Verstappen, so of course hugely under threat. One mistake and he will be waiting. But with 3 laps of DRS, that is just going to put more and more pressure on him. He knows he's got to save the ERS, use it at the right moment. His safety car restart was not enough to get away. He has to make the most of it there. Shadow needs to make the most of his tyres. His softs are in their prime. Sweet Crown, of course, going to have the 1 lap advantage difference. Shadow had 1 lap under racing before safety car was brought in, so 1 lap extra on his softs that could make all the difference. We know Sweet Crown isn't slow. He has struggled so far this season, only way down in P14 title-wise, and he starts picking up 3 more seconds of time penalties. Verstappen wants this for the title. At the moment he is looking to take the title lead, given Fleddy is way down in P7. Here we go on to the main straight. The last time we go through a DRS zone without DRS.
Verstappen honing in on Russell then and using that overtake. He is looking for the race lead and he's going to get it. Through goes Verstappen. He leads the Italian Grand Prix. Shadowglow still waiting patiently in third. Sweet Crown and Gary at the moment the front of the field still remaining very much intact. It's down the main straight. Campbell got pinched in between Yassir and Moustache, and more contact then. Maybe the front wing coming off the Alpine. Moustache has gone around after that touching, and the AlphaTauri recovers but is dropped out of contention. I think there may be plenty of stewards inquiries to look at after this race. Cress looks inside on Yassir Saki, who's dropping down the field at an alarming rate, the Alfa Romeo. He runs deep, does the Aston Martin. Does have to place again. That may be another thing for the stewards to look at. He does 9th at the moment and doesn't. It's back and is going to have to try and recover. As further back we have more yellows. I think that maybe, I'm not actually sure what it was for. It seems like everyone is still running at full race speed. Anyway, Verstappen now leads. He's making a bit of a break for it, but still half of his battery left. Russell is waiting patiently, and Shadowglow looking for opportunities. Full battery to deploy in this main straight, and now he's deploying it, Jonathan.
Yeah, here we go. This is Shadow's chance. He needs to make this count while he can. A 10.5 back at the moment, but he needs to send it breakers late as he possibly can. The sooner he makes his moves, the better. But he doesn't want to fall off the back of Verstappen either. And actually, he's waiting, choosing not to go for the move. And Russell also not going for the move on Verstappen. We'll see, but he makes 2 again a mistake, and Sweet Crown might try for something. So here he is. He's behind. He's got that ERS advantage by a little bit. Verstappen has burned oh so much to get past Russell. But Shadow, I would have thought he wanted to make this moves as quick as he can, and he opting not to go for anything there. He's only got 3 more DRS zones for the end of the race. A lap and a half to go. He needs to make the most of all of those overtaking opportunities. And into Ascari is not even the safest overtaking opportunity either. Ideally, he wants to be at P2 by the end of this lap, but at the moment that's not looking too likely, and himself under threat from behind. Cannot afford a single mistake at the pressure hugely on. Just not really performing when he needs it in these last few laps. Russell on the back though, you know, we've seen his confidence, we can see his ERS level. He's doing very well. There was slight lift needed on the exit to Ascari. Is that enough? Shadow is not burning his ERS yet again, saving it for the main straight. Can he go from P1 So from P3 to P1, that might be what he's trying to bank on here. ERS being burned, but of course Russell is going to be doing the same. That double slipstream is not to be underestimated. What is going to happen here? Verstappen is going to be eaten alive into turn 1, I suspect. But the question is by how many drivers. Russell going for the move. Is Shadow to follow through? No, he is not. Russell through to the lead on the final lap. Shadow still not doing anything here.
Verstappen looks to be the one to counter-attack. He's in the slipstream, but he has very little battery. That move a couple of laps ago may have been a little overzealous. It's still a 6-car train for the lead, and Lifeboat and Gary have done a tremendous job to hold on to this. But ultimately, I don't think they're going to challenge. The real question is, there are still 2 clear overtaking spots into Ascari and into Parabolica. The first one with DRS, it's just about to come up then, with Russell leading. Verstappen Shadowglow just hasn't been able to create an opportunity. So watch it now, coming out of Lesmo 2, a little bit of overtake from Verstappen, a lot more overtake by Russell, who's sensing the danger. Shadowglow is close to Verstappen, but it's such a short braking zone heading into Ascari. The move just doesn't come. The exit out of this corner is so crucial. Is it a good one for Russell? It's right on the exit. Much cleaner from Verstappen. He's right in the slipstream, but he's just about out of battery. He's almost derating. Shadowglow's on the offensive, and Verstappen switches to the defensive, trying to cover the line into Parabolica. Russell going for 2 in a row. Exits the final corner in the lead with a couple of car legs, and I think it's going to hold on to Rizzy. Here comes Verstappen, but he's going to run out of track. Russell wins it. Verstappen second, Shadowglow third, then Sweet Crown, Lifeboat, Gary. That's your leading group. Hacky seventh, Fleddy, Chris. I'm going to run through these results as quick as they come, as they come over the line. And oh my goodness, another photo finish then. Chris, Nuth, Campbell, Rocco, Frank, all with almost nothing covering them. Yassir and his teammate Slash will round out the points finishers, and Mustache, after a disastrous end to the race, I think he's going for fastest lap anyway. That's why he's pitted and is burning every last bit of his battery. So he'll go for the fastest lap. But Russell, ultimately, more than anything, he did seem to have great pace, but I think that was the racecraft that ultimately won him for him.
Yeah, oh yeah. But in the end, less than 6/10 separating our top 4 drivers. Incredible racing by them. Russell playing his cards absolutely perfectly. Shadow not making the most of his tyres, but maybe his tyres did not have much left, and Verstappen getting caught out by his ERS. But my goodness, what an end to that race. Monza delivering exactly as the way you expect. Templar Speed once again earning its name time and time again. Just a shame it's not a Ferrari on top from my perspective.
Well, it doesn't always work out that way at Monza, in recent years especially, it must be said. So there we are. Those are your podium finishers there, as Russell levitates up into the air to celebrate that race victory, and well, one that he certainly had to fight for. He made multiple attempts to solve the race the easy way by bursting out like a bat out of hell, trying to distance the rest of the field. That didn't work, but ultimately, when Verstappen went through with a few laps to go, ultimately that did open up the door for a fairly easy move down the main straight on the final lap. Shadowglow in third was right up there, but I think he just couldn't quite carve out an opportunity. Maybe needed to be more aggressive, more forceful, as you said. Less than 6/10 covering the top 4. Lifeboat, Gary, Backy, Fleddy, Chris, Nuth rounds out the top 10. The last guys in the top 10 with penalties, which ultimately did not cost them. Campbell in that grandstand finish over the line, just ahead of Rocco from Frank, and then Yassir Slash rounds out the points finishers, and Mustache did indeed get the fastest lap of the race, a 1:20 flat. That's an incredible lap time in race trim, and by quite some margin the fastest lap of the race. So Russell, 2 wins in a row. Verstappen may have the championship lead. It's hard to say at the moment there. I need to do some calculating.
I would say my mental maths tell me Verstappen would take the championship lead. Now, importantly, the top 3, Russell, Verstappen and Shadow, all of them picking up their second podium of the season from just 4 races. So those guys cementing themselves as the ones who know what they're doing. And of the podium, the people who've got podiums so far this season, all but 2 of them have scored 2 podiums. Fleddy's got 2 podiums, Verstappen's got 2 podiums, Shadow, Russell, they've all got 2 podiums.
Yeah,
so
that's
a few very strong contenders.
Yes.
Actually, I can't do maths. 3 drivers who've only got 1 podium so far this season. One of which wasn't racing today.
I think it is quite difficult to do the mental maths after one race like that, and obviously you've got another one to do just after this. So I won't keep you for too long, although thankfully, even with the restart, we still have plenty of time. Again, Monza, very short race, even with a safety car. So despite all the delays, you've got some time to get yourself ready for yet another race in D3. Make sure to tune in to that one.
More Monza action. And we will have podium sister Verstappen. He came from a P2 here, and he'll be joining me as the co-coms for Div 3, so make sure to join on with that. And actually, I think he's just claimed the championship lead as well. He was on 48 points, gaining 25 from that. Well, that puts him up to 73 points, and I don't think anyone else is particularly close to that. Fleddy, a P8 from him, that is only an extra 10 points to him. That puts him on 69. That's 4 points shy of Verstappen. No one else particularly close. Russell only up to 63 points. Of course, had a couple of poor rounds, didn't do the first race, and only scored a P13 in Silverstone. So before his win last week, it was a way down on the order. Shadow doing well. He's got a P2 in the first round, but he again had another round he missed. So it is Verstappen who is currently our championship leader. And I got no clue on the constructors, because that is a lot more mental maths to be doing.
I do certainly appreciate it, though. So yes, we do leave Monza with Verstappen in the championship lead. We'll see if that holds first. Next round is going to be coming to you from Singapore. It is going to be the first sprint format round of this season. I'm not sure why the sprint race is taking place at Singapore, but we will see what kind of drama that will throw up.
Well, certainly plenty of front wings being put on. My favourite Singapore story, one time CRL Division 2, there was a 31-lap race and one of the drivers finished having done a 10-stop.
I have another Singapore story doing TTML Division 1 where one of the drivers used every single tyre compound during the race.
I had that as well, actually. There was one driver that used exactly every tyre compound once. Now, of course, the guy doing the 10-stop did use every tyre compound. He just used some of them multiple times, understandably so. To my knowledge, there is not 11 compounds of tyres in F1. Even back in the day when they had the full C1 through to C5 choice, you could use them all in one race. Even then, it would have been impossible. No, what a race that's been.
By the way, that was every compound, including the wets and the inters. So that was certainly pretty impressive. Singapore tends to throw up very chaotic league races, so we will see how that is going to go. But ultimately, that is in the future, so we will wrap up the present stream. Just to you, Jonathan, thanks so much for turning up and doing this. I would have greatly struggled doing this on my own. So once again, thank you, and have a good one in D3 as well. So I think with just about everything said and done for the fourth round of the League of Europe Division 1 Championship, from myself and Cool Dude Boy, it is goodbye and see you later.